What's up, guys? Hope you're having a nice day. Coming to you from the Black Forest here in Germany. Thought I'd show you guys this cool little spot, maybe even go for a little hike as I do my video today, which is on the topic of my night routine, basically how to optimize your sleep. Now, why would I talk about this on the meditation channel? Well, it's simple. Optimizing your sleep and your health in general is going to be one of the best things you can do to concentrate better throughout the day, to basically have more mental energy, to better marshal your mental resources. So it's true that you can achieve presence in whatever state that you're in, if you're underslept, if you're unhealthy or whatever, but why do that? Why not just take advantage of this cool fact that a healthy body enables you to better, concentrate better, etc. So that's why I'm doing this video, and this has helped me tremendously. And so this night routine is the product of a lot of research, a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimentation over the course of years. I can't do every single aspect every single night, but I do as much as I can. And I urge you to incorporate at least some of these elements as well. So here we go. Just going to jump right in. Now, the first few tips are going to be about reducing light in your environment. This is extremely important because there's something in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is in your hypothalamus, I guess, which when you're exposed to light, it picks up a certain wavelength of blue light, actually, and basically when it sees that blue light, it stops your melatonin output. And melatonin is the hormone which signals your body to go to sleep. So without that, you're going to not sleep as well. So reduce the light in your environment. How are we going to do this? A few different ways. Number one, black out your room. Some people like to use trash bags and masking tape. That's actually my favorite way. Obviously, some rooms are not really conducive to this. If you have some big ass windows or just oddly shaped windows where it's really hard to tape around. But that tends to be the best way to do it. You can also use sheets, but you tend to need a lot of sheets to really black it out. And by the way, when I say black out your room, I mean make it super dark. There shouldn't be any light in there at all. So experiment with that. Try the trash bags and masking tape routine. Remove electronics from the room, especially blinky computer lights. If you have I have like an external hard drive that makes this obnoxious blue blinking light. So just tape over it or turn it off, better yet. So remove electronics and other sources of light in your environment. I wear an eye mask as well. I don't always have my favorite eye mask. Sometimes you can just use a t-shirt. I tend to do this in combination with blacking out my room. It's become a habit, so even if my room is completely dark, I do it anyway. Super good idea. You probably want to get a few different face masks because some of them are really uncomfortable, so yeah. The other thing is minimizing the blue light that you're exposed to through your electronic devices. So a lot of people like to implement what they call a digital sunset, which is basically like after a certain hour, you turn off all of your electronics. This is great. Ideally, I would be doing this, but a lot of the time I just can't really do it for whatever reason. Sometimes I have to work. Or if you're just like, if you live with other people especially, it can just be hard to really do this. So do the best you can. Digital sunset would be ideal, but one option you can definitely do is by using certain apps that will reduce the amount of blue light that you're exposed to. One of them is called f.lux. It's a very popular program for Mac or PC. It basically reduces the amount of blue light emitted by your screen after sunset. So you just install it, it's super easy. And then at sunset, it reduces the amount of blue light emitted from the screen. So it makes the screen look red, basically. And hopefully it doesn't rain too hard. Oh man, there's mosquitoes here. Anyway, yeah, so get f.lux. I think it's f.lux.io. Just get f.lux.com or something like that. I don't know. Check it out. I've been using it for years. It's really great. It really will help you fall asleep earlier, especially if you work at nighttime. So do that. There's a thing called Night Shift. It's on the latest iOS update if you have an iPhone. So basically in your control panel or whatever, if you just like swipe up on the iPhone, it'll be in the middle there. You can probably just look it up, Night Shift, tell you how to use it. Super good. Basically does the same thing as f.lux, but for your iPhone. Makes it redder during nighttime hours. Twilight is the Android option. I think there's a few others for Android as well. So try it out. It looks weird at first, but I highly recommend that you just do it, especially if you like to read on your phone at nighttime or whatever. So Safety glasses. This one is this one's kind of cool, and I haven't used mine in over a year because I've been on the road for a long time and I left them at home. But I used to do this all the time at home, especially when you're working, is to wear these orange safety glasses you can get on Amazon or probably in a convenience store that block out all blue light. So stuff obviously looks orange and blue things look pretty much black, as I recall. And you probably don't want to go out wearing these glasses. They look pretty stupid, but they do work. And especially if you're an insomniac and you just have a hard time going to sleep, this could be your issue. Like just doing this one thing could really help you a great deal. So I highly recommend you check that out. They're super cheap. Next point is airplane mode. Yeah. So if you can't manage the digital sunset, the next best thing is just to turn off your email, turn off push notifications, just put it on airplane mode if you can, ideally. And I'll be doing more videos on this. It's surprising how many people allow unfettered access to their brains by leaving on push notification, leaving their email on and so forth when they're in their evening, winding down and so forth. So really try to set a time where you turn off email, where you will not check email, and where you turn off push notification, or better yet, just put it on airplane mode. So I know it's easier said than done. I try to do this as much as possible. I can't always do it, but it's a good habit to do. What's next here? All right, talking about apps. And I really should have mentioned this first because it's one of the most important. And that is to start using, if you have a smartphone that is, start using these sleep tracking apps like Sleep Cycle, I think for the iPhone. They might have it for Android as well. But basically what it is you plug it in, turn your phone on airplane mode, of course, and you put it under your pillow, and it, using the accelerometer in your phone, will pick up your movements at nighttime and basically tell you how well you slept in the morning. So it'll track, how long you slept, I think the amount of REM sleep and so forth. I actually haven't used it in a little while, but I used to use it all the time. And actually my favorite tool for this was the Zeo, which unfortunately went out of business. But basically it's this thing, it has a headband and like a bedside alarm clock type thing, which it communicates with, and it tracks your, electrical impulses at nighttime or whatever. So it gives you a fairly accurate reading, or at least it pretends to, on your how much REM sleep and deep sleep and whatever you got. So this is extremely important because this will enable you to basically experiment on yourself and see what is impacting your sleep. So, obviously it's individual. You don't know what, aspects in your environment are impacting your sleep, and this is a great way to find out. So I highly recommend that. Next point, supplements. A lot of people like taking stuff to help them sleep. Valerian, melatonin, drugs. Honestly, I've tried all of these things, all the different over-the-counter, herbs and stuff like that. I don't really like using any of them. Even melatonin. I will on occasion if it's, just to kind of reset me, maybe like once a month or so. But I really try to avoid it as much as possible. Melatonin, because you're actually down-regulating your body's ability to make it, and you kind of become dependent on it, and I just don't like being dependent on any substance, to help me achieve a certain end. Been there, done that, so so melatonin I don't like for that reason. The other things are just, they're basically all drugs, even if they're valerian or some kind of plant, natural or whatever, right? It's still going to be a drug that you're going to become dependent on. It's going to lose its efficacy. So it's best to just avoid those things, in my opinion. One thing I do take is magnesium, though, because a lot of people are actually deficient in magnesium. A great book that I highly recommend is called The Perfect Health Diet by Drs. Paul and Shu-Ching Jaminet. And they go pretty in depth about magnesium and other supplements and discussing what, basically their recommendations. And I've read a ton of health books in the last several years, and this is by far the most rigorous and comprehensive and the overall just best health book that I've read. So check it out, Perfect Health Diet. They'll explain more about magnesium. I personally take about 400 milligrams a night. They recommend supplementing 200 milligrams a night, but the excess magnesium isn't really harmful. It'll just make you basically go poo if you have way too much. So, yeah. Anyway, try to avoid the worst of the mosquitoes here. rainy day here in the Black Forest. So magnesium, yeah, that's pretty much the only supplement I take at nighttime. I do take more supplements, but during the day, I'll talk about those later. Drugs. So I mentioned drugs in other videos, and what the drug I'm going to be talking about now is alcohol. So this one's huge. So if you're drinking, if you drink like every day, if it's a part of your lifestyle, consider cutting it out, at least for a little while, just to see how it impacts your sleep. Obviously alcohol does impact your sleep. One thing that a lot of people don't know, however, is that even if you have a little bit of alcohol at nighttime, it's going to impair your body's ability to, it's going to basically prevent your body from producing testosterone and growth hormone completely in the first few hours of sleep, which is really when most of your testosterone and growth hormone is secreted, apparently. So that's going to be really important for your ability to concentrate and just to basically feel good the next day. So this is really huge. I'm not saying you should stop drinking, it's fine to get drunk on the weekend or whatever, but just like if it's part of your lifestyle, like drinking every single night, you might reconsider that. And I know if you are doing this, it sounds like a tall order. I used to drink every night, or for the most part, when I was living in New York, and not like alcoholic style or whatever, just like social drinking. But I mean, it's really not a good thing to do. Like I was pretty, it just is not great. Some people say like a glass of wine a day or whatever is fine. That may be true. But just, get that Zio app or get the sleep cycle app and just see how it's affecting you. Experiment with it. So alcohol, reconsider it and definitely test it out using the sleep app just to see how it's affecting you. Food. What kind of food should you be eating before sleeping? Again, this is very individual. Test it out, get these sleep apps, see what helps you, see what doesn't. A lot of people say eat some low glycemic index food before you go to bed, or some MCT oil, or some grass-fed butter, or something like that, or some almonds. I personally don't eat before I go to bed. I do intermittent fasting. I've been doing that for years. And so, I might not have eaten for 4 hours or more before I go to bed. Sometimes I do though. I'm not super strict on that. But again, it's individual, so just test it out. And by the way, intermittent fasting has been extremely beneficial for me, just in terms of my mental energy and just overall well-being and health. And I'll be doing other videos on that because it's one of these things that if you implement, it'll make a substantial difference in your everyday life. So, for meditation or for anything else, it's very helpful. Related to that is being in ketosis, and we'll talk more about that as well in other videos. So food, exercise, obviously pretty basic point here, but you really shouldn't be working out too intensively right before you go to bed. Kind of goes without saying. I'm not going to talk more on that point. And of course, meditate, right? And this is, even if you're doing continual breath awareness, and this actually took me a while to figure out, you still want to be meditating for at least 20 minutes at night, or at least during the day sometime. I actually like to do it at night. Well, I do 2 sessions. I'll get into that in another video. But I find that it's very important to deepen your practice at night with non-continual breath awareness meditation. So just regular formal meditation where you sit quietly with your eyes closed in in a seated position or in some kind of non-dynamic position. So this is not dynamic meditation, it's just regular meditation for 20 minutes. And the reason this is important is because it just helps you deepen your practice. And also it keeps you honest with your continual breath awareness practice as well. Because a lot of the time, especially if you're just starting out, you can start to rationalize that you're being on your breath the whole day, whereas in reality you're really not. You're just rationalizing that you are. So this keeps you honest. If you are really on your breath throughout the day, it's not going to be a thing to sit down and meditate for 20 more minutes. You'll feel kind of silly actually doing it, because it's like, why would I want to sit down and do this when I could just meditate doing anything else? But it's still, in my opinion, important to do just to kind of deepen your practice and to keep you honest. All right, almost done here. Okay, another huge point, sleep from 10 to 2 if you can, at least, right? You want to go to bed before 10 if possible. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, especially if you're in college. Like, why would I want to go to sleep before 10? But this is actually a huge point. It's probably one of the best things you can do for your sleep. Might not sound that surprising, but it's really important. So why is this? Well, there are apparently some studies showing that sleeping from 10 to 2 will basically, that during that time, that's when the bulk of certain key hormones are released in your body, such as testosterone and growth hormone. And if you don't sleep during that time, you're not going to basically have the same amount of those hormones secreted, which are important for your, your body's regeneration, your ability to concentrate and basically feel good the next day. Also, your body does a lot of antioxidant activity, getting rid of free radicals during that time. So really important to maximize your sleep during those hours. That said, I actually couldn't find any studies about that. I couldn't actually find those studies. Apparently they are out there. But the reason I'm giving this recommendation anyway is just from my own experience. I find that when I do sleep during those hours, I just sleep way better. Also, if you do sleep on the earlier side, you're getting more of your sleep when it's actually dark outside, so there's less opportunity for the sun to disturb your sleep in the morning. That's another finding you'll probably discover once you start using these sleep tracking apps, that the sun coming in really disturbs your sleep. And also from an evolutionary perspective, this just makes a lot of sense. People before 1879, which was the year of the light bulb, when Edison invented the light bulb, people were averaging 10 hours of sleep. So pretty intense. People say get at least 8 hours of sleep. Well, the figure is probably closer to 10 if you just think about it from an evolutionary perspective and what people were getting for the vast majority of human evolution. So, yeah, super important. Sleep from 10 to 2, if at all possible. And that's pretty much it at the end of my little list here. I will say though that I did mention a lot of points. Obviously, it's going to be tough to incorporate all of these at once. You probably won't be able to. So just, pick your favorites. Maybe if you're drinking every night, that could be a good one to tackle. I know it's a kind of a tall order, or at least seems like it, but pick your favorite ones, try to integrate them, and just, add them incrementally, or add your own as well. The point is to make this a conscious activity, to consciously work on making better sleep a priority. So use these suggestions if you want, or just find your own, but make it a priority in your life. Whatever changes you decide to add, it really is extremely important. There's this, I think he's a professor at Stanford, William C. Dement. He's like the foremost researcher on sleep. He wrote this tome called, I forget what it is. I tried to read it. I got through some of it. It was fairly dense. But one thing he says is that the amount and quality of sleep you get is a better determinant of your lifespan than your exercise habits, your smoking habits, and even your high blood pressure. So it's extremely important for your overall health, much more so than most people would realize, and most people, so really make it a priority. And obviously it has a huge impact on the way you feel, which is extremely important if you're trying to bring more presence into your life, even though you can accomplish more presence without better sleep. But just why would you want to miss out on this opportunity to optimize your physical body? After all, that's how you experience this life, is through your body. So optimize it. Got a lot more videos coming your way in the near future on sleep, health, meditation, bringing more presence into your life, etc. Gonna go back home now. Well, to where I'm staying, trying to avoid getting wet. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like this and you want to see more like it, and talk to you next time.